harmony with items, and I feel like you can do that with colors. You can do that with your outfit, your attire. I feel like people do that when they like have the monochromatic look, like just really feeling like a bit of satisfaction, or kind of even with like on another side of color therapy, just like
what is
matching your mood.
You call it color therapy?
Yes.
It helps you heal your chakras.
Oh, see, I don't know what I do.
It helps you heal your chakras?
Yes.
I can put this on then.
Yeah, she put me.
I mean, not heal, but align your chakras.
Okay.
Yeah.
It just makes me feel okay.
She's literally doing chakra work with
without even trying, really, huh? Without knowing.
Mm-hmm. Just in your everyday life.
Mm-hmm.
Impressive. So, Jan is in the audience if you don't hear her already. This is a Pro Life Podcast. I'm your host, Deonte Clyburn. We are back with our second episode of season 2. So we've been here for about, I'm gonna say 30, 40 minutes, chopping up already, so we kind of got to get to what we want to talk about. But specifically, I want you to kind of give me a brief synopsis of what you do now. Tell me everything about your career field and how you got into it.
Wow.
Well, not everything, but tell me how you got to where you are now and probably like the last couple goals that you overcame or milestones that you overcame to get there.
Okay. So recently graduated, about over a year ago, graduated from Georgia State University. I moved to Atlanta and just had like this great awakening like moment for myself. Got some certificates and degrees in Pan-African studies, and then came back home. Pandemic, elitism in Atlanta just brought me back.
How was Atlanta? Why? So I know that's a big move. Not saying it's a wrong move for anybody, nothing like that. Out of the city, like if you need to, you need to. If you don't, you don't. I know there was an argument recently on Twitter and everything.
Okay.
How do you feel about that? Leaving your city to go conquer another city, to go make your name another city.
Yeah. I think it's a personal choice. I don't think it's something that's like a debate for people to kind of debate on what you need personally. Like I have friends who've been here forever and travel all across the world and live here and work here and do just fine. And then there's people who were like me that was like, I need to leave because I just had so many attachments to this city, so many heartbreaks, so many just troubles that were attached that I needed to leave and find my own self, find my own voice, was attached to different people with different jobs. It was just a lot. You know how small Louisville is.
Yeah.
And like
everybody knows
you just need fresh energy. And so moving to Atlanta was that, and I was always into school. And it was just easy for me to do school and move because
they said it was easier for you to focus in Atlanta, being that you wasn't here at home and had, I guess, people was accessible to you, or you was accessible to other things. It was easy for you to focus on school in Atlanta?
No, because I mean, I did undergrad here and I focused. I have boundaries, like, and that's my excuse for my family, like, school time, like, leave me alone. So I didn't really have that problem. I think it allowed me to be myself more in a space that I didn't know people, that I didn't know the things around there. I had to learn how to learn a new space. And how to move through that space, whether it's like meeting new people, meeting new street names, like knowing how to navigate myself through relationships and different networks that, you know, I'm not tied to compared to here, like, you know, somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody. And I had parents in community and stuff, so it was easy for me to navigate.
And what you say your major was? You said Pan-African? Well, I know we spoke before this, but what was your major when you went down to Georgia State?
So it was Pan-African Studies. And I centered it on Black girlhood and youth development. So that's what I studied. I did a whole research project on Black girls and youth development programs.
Would you say that ties into what you do now here in Louisville?
So I'm a researcher now, so yes, but I also work for a national network that looks at homicides or is trying to reduce homicides for Black men and boys. So it's like in their families.
Okay.
So different like gender, but also really trying to center the work that I do. I have a Black feminist framework, so it works with the work that I study at work, which is homicides, gun violence prevention, and then some other things on top of it.
Okay. Now, amongst the other things on top of that, which we're gonna get into,
Okay.
tell me, Maya that went to Manual High School, is this what you always saw yourself doing? Did you see yourself leaving Louisville and going to Atlanta and being a Pan-African American major, creating your own major to succeed in? Did you see yourself doing this at all?
No, I didn't.
What did Maya see herself doing?
In high school?
Yeah, about your senior year. What were you thinking
Okay,
about?
my senior year. Well, I knew I was gonna study sociology, which I did.
Mm-hmm.
I did do that. That was my thing. I think I had picked up a book somewhere, and it was a sociology book, and I read the first couple, and I was like, I'm gonna study this. I remember doing that.
Look at the flashbacks.
I know, I'm like, hold on, how did I even know about that word? But no, I didn't know. I really didn't know what I was going to do. I had grew a passion for Black people in high school, which kind of just saved my life. I had a really rough time in a lot of parts in high school because I was grieving a lot in high school. So I read a book about a Black girl and then read more Black books and was like, I love this. And I think I knew it was going to be something Black, but I never even thought of like, what am I going to do when I grow up? I never had that.
Think about that. Like what you never thought about what you was gonna do when you wanted to grow up because of, I guess, what you was dealing with at the time, or
maybe.
Or what you think that contributes to? Like, what do you think that vacancy contributes to? Like, it never crossed your mind. Well, not saying it never crossed your mind, but it wasn't as frequent in your mind as it should have been.
It wasn't. I think it was a lot of trust in myself and me not knowing to call it trust. Because I just did not worry about that. I always did what I was supposed to do. I always was in school and did good in school, despite like being depressed and being emotional as fuck. You know, I lost a lot of friends in high school. I lost a really great close friend to me. So
let me see this. Hold on. Yeah, I know.
I recorded a little bit though.
Yeah. I was making sure.
Okay.
So you lost a close friend.
Yeah, so I think that really made me like numb. But school was my gateway out. That was always like, it was my gateway out, and it was like a way for me not to get in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I just always trusted myself, like I'm gonna do the right thing.
Like I'm gonna be able to figure it out because I know I'm gonna figure it out. Kind of trusted myself and figure it out.
Yeah, I just didn't worry about that. I just worried about really getting out of school, and that was just like always to go to college, to go to college.
Okay, so once you got in college, you were doing your undergrad. Did you know, or did you already have in your mind, okay, I'm gonna graduate and then I'm gonna leave and go somewhere else for school as well?
No.
So what did you take up when you first got to U of L, and when did you make that decision to leave and go to Georgia State?
I took a break. I took about 6-month break. I graduated a semester late, and then in that 6-month period, I was like, I want to do something else. I don't know. I want to break free. I don't want to be attached to just a lot of things that were here. I just wanted to see something else. Like a lot of people, and I'm not even gonna say a lot of people. I just felt like I did a lot here because I was very involved in undergrad. I was president of like ABS, which was like Black Student Union, and scholar programs, all those things, and I was able to travel. But I just felt like something was always missing, and I just kind of was like, I'm gonna go to school. I want to go in this new space, and I want to figure that out. So that's how that happened.
Okay. Now, you're down in Georgia State. You're by yourself?
Yes.
For the most part, your family and friends that you knew are back in Louisville? How was it? Because life ain't peachy, and you always have your trials and tribulations. How was it getting through that per se by yourself? And what could you say were the qualities that you gained after getting through those situations? Well, situations that you had that you kind of had to persevere through.
So the challenges were very much scary. And scary like being alone, like when you're really alone. You know what I'm saying? Like somebody ain't down the street, somebody can't come save you, like you gotta figure out the answer for yourself and you gotta figure it out then. That shit's scary as hell. And mind you, like I didn't have my dad at the time, and this is the guy who probably can do anything to come save me, or this is the person I'm calling when problems happen. So it was very, very much scary. I would say it's very much, but to overcome that scariness took a lot of courage. So even though, I'm gonna say about where I lived in the West End. I lived off Lawson and Westview. Basically the West End.
Okay, I don't know much about it.
West End in Atlanta is like West End in Louisville.
My brothers, okay.
So like it's the hood. I was in the hood. In the hood.
Nonetheless.
Yeah, straight up hood. I had a corner liquor store at the corner right like underneath my apartment. I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna be cool. I'm about to move to Atlanta.
So what was that like? You by yourself?
So I moved into this building. I was the first one to move in there, literally by myself. Like not a neighbor. The parking lot wasn't like, I had to go behind this fence. It was crazy. It was really fucked up how they had me in there. Yeah, I was scared as shit. I remember that being like the scariest moment of my life. Like in the space where somebody can literally come in there and grab me out of there and nobody would know. In there by myself. And yeah, I just had to make the decision like, I gotta create this to be home. Like something in that space made me feel comfortable. Yeah. But it was like something outside of this space made me not feel comfortable. Like it was fear. And like I grew up in the West End of Louisville, and I always had like a little PTSD because my house got broken into a lot of times. So I was always like on guard. So I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna pray. I would wake up in the middle of the night and pray. Like I would just do all types of stuff. Paid off. And then I also would do something that really helped me was it's a funny story because I would put on some music throughout the night. I would close my door and just have like a stereo in the living room. Yeah. And I would play Sade and Anita Baker. Now I had just read an article with Andre 3000, and he was like, he had a shirt, or he was making some shirts and it said I need a baker. Like I need a baker. Yeah. And in that article he was talking about how his mother used to always play Anita Baker in the house. So I'm like, all right, I'm in Atlanta. This is the shit that I think of. I'm like, they love Outkast. They must love Anita Baker. I'm gonna play some Anita Baker on the speaker, and then whoever walk up in this motherfucker better think about their mama, their grandmama, them.
And I'll be saved
before they open this fucking door. And that's what I would play that throughout the whole night. It would be Sade. I'm like, man, some Sade because she's smooth and like it would help me sleep. But like in the back of my mind, in the back of my head, in the background of my house, like nobody else is there, but you hear Anita Baker's and Sade's
that soul music was saving you.
And it just made me feel at home. It made me go to sleep. It really held me. It really gave me space to just like be with myself until somebody else came. And there was a point where I was about to move into another space. Somebody had like did some graffiti on the wall and did something, and I was like, it's gentrification happening. Somebody's gonna hurt me. Like I was getting paranoid because it was just like a lot of
anxiety's going through the roof.
Yeah, it was going through the roof. So I had left. I had called my old boss. She's calling a lawyer in Atlanta. It had got crazy for a second, and I was just like, I think it was the last moment I was in there.
Why did you stay?
I was packing my bags. And I was about to move. I had put in like $150 deposit somewhere in like Camp Creek, which was like further away, like South Georgia, South Atlanta. And something in me was like, I don't need to go. I don't want to leave. Like I had already set my place up, and I had already created this home space. I'm like, and the guy next to me, they went to Morehouse, and people was coming in, and I was talking to folks as they was coming in. And
so then you was finally getting familiar in the same space that you was comfortable in.
And then my cousins, they came from like, they lived an hour out, they came in town. So we walked around the neighborhood, and we was like, we gonna get comfortable, this is what we gonna do. So we walked around, and we met some guys at the corner store, and they used to be out at the corner store or whatever. And we met this man named The General, What's that man's name?
Hey man, this man, we ain't gonna say this man's name.
I know. Okay.
That's the general, man. We ain't gonna say this man's name.
Rest in peace. Crazy story tied to that. I got hella stories.
I know.
Anyway,
And that's fine.
I met this man named the General, and he made me feel really comfortable. And he was like an older black man. He ended up passing away a few weeks later.
Okay.
A few weeks later. And they had a visual for him outside. And one day I was in the house, and I smelled fire. I'm like, why do I smell fire?
Mm-hmm.
And I looked outside, and they had a visual for him. So I got to meet him, and there was a church across the street, and they had the funeral at the church. But that was community.
Yeah.
Like, to tie that all together, like, I felt home, but I didn't want to leave because I had created a home for myself before I even knew, like, you know, I was going to meet this community, and then I met this community. And to see all those people from the corner at the church, and then to just feel like, I mean, it was hella packed in this church. And to be able to meet him, right, and to have that energy, I was like, I'm staying. So I stayed.
So you stayed. That's a long story. That's a long story, but that's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay, because I feel like it sometimes takes a few things to happen. It takes your family to come down. It takes for you to meet somebody. It takes for you to go around and get to know the community for you to get comfortable in a place. I wasn't comfortable at all in Colorado. Until going around and meeting people and doing the same exact things,
right,
really, and getting used to those same exact things. What would you say was the momentum shift that made you move back to Louisville, Kentucky? At what time did you make that decision? What point did you make that decision? Like, okay, now it's time for me to go home, and this grown version of Maya can now take on Louisville and do what you, I guess, not thought of in high school, but developed in college and want to bring back. What made you make that decision?
There's so many layers to that. But one,
you feel like it was signs at different point in time down there in Georgia, like, okay, that's a sign, maybe I should go back. That's a sign, maybe that's just itching me more to go back. Or do you feel like it was a smack in the face?
Definitely not a smack in the face. I mean, I left after the pandemic was like fresh, like the summer of the pandemic.
You left Atlanta?
I left Atlanta, like last August. And so I think it was hard for me to be able to navigate the same way I was, because a lot of the things that I was doing, I like worked and was very involved in the yoga studio. I was like in a relationship. The relationship wasn't there no more. The yoga studio had closed. All these things are like, I wasn't in school anymore, so everything I was really attached to make these connections were not there anymore. So I lost like my community. Honestly, like I can't even see myself going to Atlanta and really seeing my people there, because a lot of people aren't there no more. Like in the spaces that I know them to be in. So that was happening. I think everything was just kind of like falling to where I needed to like go back home and root myself, because I couldn't find a job. Like nothing was working, and I was just like, I'm just gonna go home. And I think I just had the beauty of having that option, because I always loved Louisville. Like I never disliked it or hated it to move. I just needed something for me. Like I don't think that's the thing. Like people leave Louisville with so much resentment. Like I hate it here. It's slow. Whoop whoop whoop. And it's just like, it's a beautiful space. It's my home. Like I love it. And I think that's what I feel. Like when I kept getting these rejections and COVID was happening, I was just like, I can go home. I can go home. Literally, somebody's gonna give me a job. They love me at home. So
home is home, man. Louisville.
All of that.
I feel like it's gotten to a point where it's a growing city now. And everybody around knows it's growing. And with that being said, I feel like a lot of people want to take part in it. So everybody's trying to help one another, pull each other up. It's a lot more positivity than people shed light on. I know it's a lot of bad or negativity going on. If that's the case, I just feel like it's everywhere.
Right. Definitely.
I feel like it's in every hood or every state something bad's going on. I just feel like we got to start highlighting a little bit more on the good shit we got going on, because Louisville, it's a cool place. It's a cool place if you know what to get around. Tell me about this coffee shop that I keep hearing about. I know I spoke to John E., who I'm gonna have on soon. But tell me, where does this idea come from? as well as the yoga, which we can get into
Right.
as well. But tell me about the coffee shop.
The coffee shop. So the coffee shop is called 945. And I was a barista like back when like 2015. I always went to coffee shops to like do work and stuff, but I was a barista in 2015, and I just loved the job. Like I would wake up 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning to go serve coffee. In school with another job, and was not tired. Like the joy that I felt to be able to do that, and some racist shit pulled in to make me want to quit that job.
Yeah.
And so I always wanted to find that spark again. I always wanted to feel that energy again. And so I did end up working at a coffee shop called Ep.2.
From Atlanta with Love,
Yes.
the medium roast.
Yes.
I don't know much about coffee, but Ep.2.
Yeah, they ended up sending that to me most recently. But yeah, I worked there and the vibes was amazing. And so that's another thing, like moving to a new city. I was looking for places that I loved on Instagram and stuff. That's how I came across Ep.2.
Okay.
And so just ended up writing them. They allowed me to work there. And I had a good experience with that. I mean, I had experience already, but it just felt, I don't know, the vibe was at home. The music was playing, the art was up, the books was laid out. They let me do a writing program there.
See, I've never been to like a coffee shop other than Starbucks, so I wouldn't. It sounds like
it's an oasis.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It sounds like it sounds like
it's literally one reason why
definitely a vibe.
I set up my place like this, because this is how I want my coffee shop to be. Like I would want it to be. I want to create the opportunity to create a space, and I guess that's what I should say is that we call it 945 coffee space because we want people to have space to be with themselves, to be comfortable, to be able to buy a drink or a beverage and be in community with people. That's really what we want to do, and do that in a cultural space. And you don't